Now is the best time to get into bike racing. Let me tell you why. All right, people have been complaining how expensive gear is these days, and I don't think they realize how good they have it now, how expensive stuff was back in the day. Let's start by talking about the power meter. So back when I first started racing, the SRM was the only option. They basically had a monopoly on the power meter market. People don't realize that thing cost $2,000. I think that was the entry-level power meter. It only went up from there. Plus, you had to buy like their weird proprietary head unit. So 20-year-old me was thinking like, no chance am I spending more than what my bike costs on a power meter. I mean, I went years without training power, and we all know that a power meter is the single most important piece of gear if you're trying to improve. If you're racing, if it's just self-improvement, you have to be able to track your effort. Power meter is how much force are you putting into the bike. Nowadays, $350 for a single-sided power meter, which, by the way, just as accurate as that $2,500 SRM. So we are spoiled when it comes to power. Likewise, let's talk about carbon race wheels. That's another piece of tech that has come a long way. Back when I first started, you would rarely see carbon race wheels. Maybe on race day, you would see a handful here and there, but they were quite rare. Training day, no way. Nobody was running carbon race wheels on training day. All my bikes have carbon wheels now because they are cheap, high quality, and they're not $2,000 or $3,000 like they used to be. I think you can get a very competitive high-end carbon wheel set for about $1,000 now. That Hyper we tested, Will and I, a few weeks back, we made a video about that bike and those wheels. Those things are fantastic. I think they're like $1,000 or $1,200, something around there. Around that price point, you are going to find really fast wheels. The technology trickles down. They're going to be more than enough to be competitive in the P12 field. And I think the reason why a lot of people weren't running their carbon race wheels a lot, especially in training in years past, was disc brakes on road. That was not a thing, right? It was all rim brake. Come at me in the comments. I know there's a lot of you who think that rim brakes are a better technology than disc brakes. They're not. Disc brakes are simply better. They stop faster. But one thing people don't often talk about is, you spend, let's say, $2,000 on this high-end set of carbon race wheels. Well, rim brakes, you guys know how they work. It's just friction on the rim. So you are slowly etching away layers of your $2,000 carbon race wheel. I know people that had them like refinished, the braking track refinished. Doesn't make any sense. Disc brakes, I'm not even gonna go there. They are better for a lot of reasons, but one of them is they preserve your high-end race wheels. That's another technology that's come a long way, and that allows people like myself to train on their high-end carbon race wheels because you're not worried about just etching the brake track down to nothing. And now let's talk about tires. Tubeless technology. I was a late adopter. I made a video about it. I have come full circle though, you guys. I think the technology is there. Old school riders out there like myself will know Hutchison was like the only option. Just like SRM was the only power meter option, Hutchison was the only road tire option when that technology first came out. And it was finicky, it was weird. You had to have a special rim with a special tire. Sealant wasn't as good as it is these days. But now, granted, there is a barrier to entry. You need sealant, you need a special valve. There are certain considerations, but I mean, I would be hard pressed to find a wheel manufacturer that isn't tubeless ready. Like, do they even sell non-tubeless ready wheel sets anymore? Is that a thing? Tires are the same. Like, it seems like every manufacturer is coming out with a tubeless ready tire, if not that being like their standard. Even tires that aren't tubeless compatible is a weird thing. So the technology's come away. Compatibility is really good. The compound's really good. And it's the sort of thing, like, once you get it set up, guys, I don't flat anymore. It is fantastic. We did a whole video series on tire widths, tire pressures. All of those are available only if you are running the tubeless technology, because if you try to drop it down to 50 PSI with tubes, you're going to pinch flat immediately. So tubeless is another technology that we are spoiled by these days. Wasn't around 10, 15 years ago. And while we're on the subject of new technology, let's talk about wireless electronic shifting. This was something I was actually an early adopter to. I got one of those really early Ultegra Di2 electronic shifting setups, and mine was blown. Like, to me, it was kind of a no-brainer, because think about it, guys. I hate changing my shifting cables. You go through the base season, the wet season, all of the little shifting cables get contaminated. You have to, take your bike apart. You have to reroute all those cables. What a pain. And it's expensive too. The cables and housing weren't cheap. You make that, again, that initial investment you set up with a wire in the case of Di2, or even a wireless. It's super easy to set up. I built that that wind space right over here with the SRAM Red AXS group set I had. Wireless. You just put everything on, it works. You connect them wirelessly. Once it's set up, you're done. You push a button. If you've never experienced this, guys, electronic shifting, you push a button, you get a perfect shift. You're not worried about like, oh, how fresh is the cables and housing? Perfect shift, perfect shift. Doesn't matter if it's raining outside, if you're going over gravel or mud or anything, it's just a perfect shift. That is a technology that used to be really expensive. Nowadays, 105 Di2, like SRAM Force is a little bit more expensive, but these things are very attainable, very inexpensive with respect to where it was, 8-10 years ago, which was either non-existent or like prohibitively expensive. So we are, again, lucky with that technology as well. Okay, so let's put all this together. Let's say you're just getting into the sport, you're thinking about racing. What equipment do you start with? The first thing you need to know is don't fall for the marketing hype. You don't need to spend over $10,000 on some super bike. Trust me, guys, the power meter, the training, the nutrition, practice, practice, practice. Those things are going to get you 95% of the way there. All of which, by the way, is available in the masterclass course. I'll leave a link then in the description. Scholarships are still available, don't forget. But let's talk about a good package to start off with. And I think that you can find a 2, maybe 3-year-old name brand bike in the secondhand used market. Your Cannondale, your Trek, your... Damn bug was on the table. That people are willing to let go for a really attractive price because they have fallen for that marketing hype and they're trying to upgrade their equipment. And if you're looking for the best deal, it's going to be like, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, that sort of thing. If you want a little bit more assurance, there are services like the Pros Closet where they actually do inspections. There's a money-back guarantee. So that's an option too. It's going to be a little bit more expensive because they put a markup on it. But I think there are great options in that range that are going to tick a lot of these boxes that we talked about. Electronic shifting, carbon wheels, power meter, all that stuff is going to be included at a very attractive price point. Alternatively, you can go to now this Chinese kind of off-brand market, which, traditionally I was very reluctant to get into because I had bad experiences years ago, but I think they've come a long way. I built up that wind space and had a great experience racing the bike, riding the bike. It's very capable, guys. I won Alviso on it. Go check out the full video if you want my opinions on that. But I guess the bottom line is you can get really good new options at this price point too, of like, $1,500, $2,000, an extremely capable bike. So with all that said, is there a barrier to entry in our sport? Of course. I wish that you could go out there with a pair of cleats like it's soccer or something like that and get into the sport. Unfortunately, you need a bike to ride in order to be a bike racer. And I just don't want people to be intimidated by the big marketing push that you need to spend money in order to be fast. Couldn't be further from the truth. There is significant diminishing returns after about $2,000. So good luck out there, guys. I'll drop some links in the description and meet me in the comments because I'm certain there are things that I missed that we could talk about. Thanks for hanging in there. As always, I'll catch you in the next one.